From New York and on the new Hot 97 app, Ebro in the morning. On Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, beautiful Laura Styles, Rosenberg, Royce the 5'9", and DJ Premier.
PRhyme.
What's up?
Yeah,
up,
PRhyme
fellas?
2.
What's up, y'all?
I like the welcome thing out there. Got to take a picture. I hope they don't take it down before we.
No, it'll be up there on the way out. Yeah, we have, when
Solid, right? It looks professional.
When individuals of a certain caliber come through, they get a whole graphic and a welcome sign on all the TVs out in the lobby on the walk.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Megan. I saw her walking in. She threw me off with the glasses. So
Megan Wright.
yeah, she had the cool little. The specs almost like what you got on. I was like, I know you. Oh yeah, we did interviews.
I saw Tiana Taylor, too. I didn't get a chance to speak to her, but
You just
shout out
saw.
to Tiana Taylor. I did
Yeah,
see
they
her.
were leaving when I
Yeah.
walked in.
It was like a whole...
Tiana Taylor's a sight to be seen.
Yeah,
She is. She
Sight
is.
to be seen
She's a sight to be
indeed.
seen.
Shout out to her father who knew headquarters real well. Recipes to headquarters. So they go way back. So.
Yo, Prima, I'm glad you brought that up about going way back because I know, you guys, PRhyme 2, the album, shout out to Ant-Man, obviously, that you guys work with on the project. This PRhyme project, different than the last one in that you guys incorporated more there's more collaborations on this than there was on that with other artists, or no? It's about the same.
About the same.
Probably
Just
about the
just a
same.
mix, just different ones.
Probably
Just
about the
different
same.
ones.
Yeah. And the same concept, just a different producer of Primo. You guys take a musician, and instead of sampling from different bodies of work, you take one original body of work from a producer and sample it all from that person.
Exactly.
Which Primo outlined. I love that you outlined. Why did you decide to outline this on the album so people understand fully the concept?
Because of I think we both gained new fans that may even be younger that I'll see comments in my Twitter and in IG and all that stuff, and they'll be like, "Yo, man, I'm just getting up on you, but I didn't know you did so much stuff. I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that." Where it's like, wow, okay, but where my generation of course, or in the 30s or 40s. I expect them to already know because they grew with us when I was in my 20s and 30s. So to meet somebody just from watching comments and everybody going, man, I just checked y'all out for the first time. I didn't know Royce used to be down with this, and I'm just like, wow. And sometimes you're kind of looking at it with a strange face, but you got to realize hip-hop has grown so far that now you have 50 to 60-year-old fans, and then you have teenagers like when we were teenagers. I was 19 when I joined Gang Starr.
And I wanted to bring that up because you obviously have sampled and used a lot of different samples, but you've had a signature sound. Right, as a producer, there is a sound. In refining that sound, can you talk about back in the day? Obviously you came up at the time. You had the Diamond D's of the world. You had the Showbiz,
Pete, Large Professor.
Everybody.
Keep going. Right.
Q-Tip, yeah.
Q-Tip, yeah.
Havoc.
Buck Wild, Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talk about how you defined the Primo sound. Like what at that time it was never about sounding like someone else. That was out of the question. But you made sure to define that sound.
Marley Marl was my influence when it came to that. Same thing with Rick Rubin, Larry Smith. Larry Smith was known for doing all the Houdini records and early Run DMC records, and there's just a sound where it's like, I know Larry did that one. I know Larry did that one. You hear Marley records with Road to the Riches and the Biz is going off, Make the Music with Your Mouth, Raw from Kane, just everything had a Marley, his delays, his echoes, everything just was like, even if you didn't know yet, but from seeing the record, especially when there was not a lot of albums yet, it was like, I know Marley did that. Even the scratch and the kind of offbeat scratch, so I wanted to have that same, known, Primo did that. Which a lot of people I'll even see sometimes, like, man, I can always tell when it's you. Either your scratches or just the way it sounds, I can tell it's you. And that's what
has that helped your longevity? Is that one of the things that have contributed?
I think so, because the fans that have been fans from day one are still like, what else you got coming? They're not like, man, you gotta change your shit up. Part of my life.
You're good.
It happened. It's good.
Man, you gotta change your stuff up.
Well,
Sorry, go
ahead, Laura.
Talk about working with the newer artists like the Fergs and the Davies, compared to all the legends that you work with before, like their new sound now and how they deliver projects.
Well, with Ferg, he told me, please don't do Plain Jane, don't do anything like what I've done. He said, don't do Shabba Ranks. He said, I want a Primo, style that's how you already do it. And I was like, well, I was going to do that anyway. But I like that that's what he wanted to approach off rip when we just decided to work on a song. The one that we put out was we would just experiment to see if we could come up with something. It wasn't a set thing like, hey, we're gonna do this for Payday Records and relaunch the label. when Patrick Moxie, who was my Gangstar manager from day one, all the way up until our last album in 2003, before he got into the dance music world and started Ultra Records, which is huge now. Even with the Ultra festivals, he that's not even his, but being that they use the name, he gets a taste of that too. So, and those are huge. So
huge.
He saw me in France. I was on tour with one of my artists, Tory Wolf, and he said, "Hey man, I want to relaunch the label. How would you feel about doing 4 singles just to help get it rolling like we did with Jay with the Damager and OC and Group Home and Big Suge and Dub C and just Jay-Z, everything that came through Payday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So he said, "What do you got?" I said, "Well, I got this Ferg record." And he was like, "Well, maybe we need somebody a little more of your generation." I was like, "Nah, the Ferg record fits Payday. If you're going to relaunch it now, you should take a listen to it." As soon as he heard it, he was like, "Yeah, this sounds like what Payday would have done." So
Royce, it's interesting because you're known for your collaborations originally. A lot of people, myself probably included, would argue that your collaborations with Premier in your early career are maybe among Primo's best outside Gangstar work he ever did, right? Like Boom is iconic. And you've toured the world with Boom. You've talked about that a lot with me. But you guys seem to tap into something different. That's what I like about the PRhyme albums. I could tell it's Premier, but like I don't know if I would have been able to tell Era off top without the scratches. I don't know if I'd know that. Like, so it seems as if you guys
Rocket too.
Yeah.
Rocket is definitely a record where I'm like, okay, this is, and I think it's obviously because it's Ant-Man, right? You're sampling something.
Yeah, I think it's a mix though of what you guys bring out of each other on this project. It feels like while you could tell it's Premier, there's something unique about it being PRhyme. Is that an intention to be like, I don't want this to just be a collection of us doing Boom and hip hop. We want to make PRhyme records that mean something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on how you start the fight, right? Like when we had the initial conversations to do it, it was basically me twisting his arm. Like, yo, let's do this because it's something different. He wasn't really into the idea of pulling everything from one composer. You know what I mean? So when we decided to do that, we automatically started to fight out with doing something completely different, which would bring something completely different out of me. Like you mentioned the Era joint, it's like we sat there and he was going through sounds and I was sitting there and I was like, oh, what's that? Like, you ever thought about just taking a noise like that and maybe just looping that? Because everything we have so far is so musical. This would be a good way to scale it back. So when he started taking that noise and he started spinning it back, going, you know what I mean? And it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then he added the Rocket in the Pocket snare. It was like, holy Jesus. You know what I mean? So that sparked the Era idea because I felt like the Rocket in the Pocket snare, that noise that he was looping kind of reminded me of Bees in the Trap. And I felt like he was blending
does sound like Bees in the
eras
Trap.
together.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was like, this dude is blending eras together right now.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Ant-Man said he was kind of doing a Millie. Ant-Man said he was doing like a Millie sort of an approach in a way. So, and like you said, Bees in the Trap, it's reminiscent of that too. So,
Royce, have you memorized Black History?
Have I memorized it yet?
Yeah.
No.
You don't know it yet.
No,
So
not yet.
would you need me to like? Would I need to point out some of the lyrics to you, or can you get us started on it?
Yeah, I can get you started.
Can we go through some of the?
I've been nudging them to learn that one because with my band, the Batter Band, shout out to them when we open up. Our opening is Black History, and right before I play the acapella with the band, I said I was born, and I told the acapella 1966 March 21st, so I know it because that's our opening every night.
Right.
Perform, so I have it down. So when I was like, "Hey man, we're gonna perform Black History," he's like, "Man, I gotta still learn it." And I'm like,
This one, this is the one I hit you when I was at the gym last week. Listening, I texted you and I was like, "Yo, I can't get past the references on here." I hit Hannibal Buress yesterday about something. I said, "What do you think of the PRhyme album?" He said, "To be fair, I haven't really given it a full listen because I can't get past Black History."
wow.
So take us through some of the lyrics on Black History.
Okay, if you tell me,
I'll tell you.
I can tell you
It's
exactly.
1966 March 21st. How it starts.
I mean, well, you know where I'm going with that. I'm talking about the birth of two phenoms. March.
Yeah, and July 60 and July 17 marks the birth.
So I'm just naming both of their birthdays, because at this point in the song, I've already talked about. I took you back to the beginning from when I was born, and I basically gave you a whole story about something that happened in the hospital when I was born, and my first experience with big business was when I was born. my dad having a lapse in his insurance, and at the very beginning they're saying we need to keep him. We need to keep him and run some tests on him. And as soon as they found out that there was a lapse in his insurance, okay, we're gonna release him. You know what I mean? And that's the exact same thing that happened when I signed to Tommy Boy. It was like they gave me $1 million deal. They basically threw the whole building at me, and as soon as I turned in something that they didn't feel was good enough, they released me. You know what I mean? So I found out that I felt that was a little bit crazy. So by the time I got to going back to the beginning of Gangstar individually with PRhyme and Guru, I just felt like that was an ill dichotomy, like how our paths crossed. You know, I came from here, they came from there, and our paths crossed, and we were able to make this music.
And so you start out talking about the beginning of Gangstar. And I love the line early on when you said, "This is for the real Gangstar fans, not the ones who call us PRhyme."
A lot of people call us that.
Yeah, and I'm sure people don't mean anything by it. They read it, they're like, "Oh, they're capitalized. It must be PRhyme." There's no dash though. But anyways, you go.
I did that intro.
And then you go on and you tell the Gangstar story. And here's where you get into the references. You say, in that shit birth, Group Home, Freddie Fox, inspired shit like Jay-Z, Nas.
Big, I'm just coming clean like the J. Rue song.
Exactly. Do you remember from this point?
In order to be able to say it?
No, yeah, Primo does. Primo, go ahead.
On TV raps.
Rock him in the back.
And Fat Freddy with the big hat and Tupac with his Boots from Juice on.
And then you go through and you shout out you shout out Showbiz, AG, Fat Joe, OC. What was like Lord Finesse, and then you jump up to Kendrick so tell us conceptually, calling a song Black History, but making it really, you started with Gangstar and then get into all this hip hop shit.
Yeah.
What was the thought process?
What I was thinking was the way that all of these legends and people who provided so much for the culture benefited off of him just coming to New York. Like, he's one of the architects of what a lot of people would call the golden era in hip hop. And if you listen to all of the names that I'm naming and you think about everybody that made classic material off of this sound, you think about it like, yeah, that is the golden era. You know, by the time I went and I referenced Kendrick and guys like that, that was more so me talking about guys who are really bringing it today. They're living in their own golden era right now. So I felt like it was relative to name them too and not just make it so far back in the Black history. You know, like, people didn't stop being nice with me, Slaughterhouse, Group Home. You know what I mean? Like Pac, those guys are nice too. You know what I mean? So I just decided to name a few current guys too.
Primo, do you think of yourself in that way as like, because you're still active and you've always been active, but you're a real historian. Like, you are someone like it was funny at the beginning of the interview, the way you referenced Tiana Taylor's dad. Like, you're very, it is, I would say, of all the things about you that I know, referencing history and giving props to those who did things and have passed is very important to you. You always rep it so hard. Is it weird to think of yourself as like a pioneer and an architect of what this whole thing is?
It was in the early years of just finally getting accepted by everybody that we wanted to like us. You know, me and Guru were just like, I remember when I met Guru, he was with Craig G, and I was like, wow, you were a member of the Juice Crew. Like, that was a big deal. He said, you want to meet him? I'm like, yeah. Like, you know, like Craig G, and that's not to put him at a lower level of a Kane and a Shan and everybody else. It was like, you're a member of the Juice Crew. This is before the symphony, you know, and that was a big deal to me. And then when I signed the Wild Pitch, Stu Fine was like, yo, we're going to the New Music Seminar, and Lord Finesse came with us because he was getting signed because Guru played me his demo tape and was like, yo, I think Stu should sign this guy. Lord Finesse, listen to his demo. And I just told Finesse, I just found his demo cassette that Stu gave us our cassettes back, and I got my demo that got me signed and Lord Finesse.
Wow.
I need my tape back, so I got to give it to him. I got to take a picture of it first. Yeah, so with all of that, seeing Chuck D and Ice-T with Darlene, you know, we were all hot for Ice-T's wife, and not in a bad way. I think he even knows that.
That was the point.
Man.
That was the
point. Yeah. Ice is amazing, man. That's the dude. But just seeing all of them in the flesh, you know, and Ultramagnetic MCs, MC Light, Latifah, and all of them were more of we all kind of ran together at that time. Latifah, Special Ed, so they weren't like, oh man, there they go, because Q-Tip, same thing. We all came up in that same.
But as great as so many of the greats were, and I know you would never say this because this is not who you are, as great as so many greats are, like I just got to say this to you while you're here, in a lot of ways, like you're the greatest. You're in the highest rung,
right?
Because like that's what you allude to on the song. All this other stuff might not be possible. I mean, there's so many generations that you've influenced.
Right.
Do you fully accept that? Because even then, you went back to being humble and be like, I was just able to be one of them. But I'm like, no, this culture, a lot of it is on your back.
Yeah, I mean, I get that from my pops because where I'm from in Texas, town actually Prairie.
Yeah, I saw the fresh hoodie, the fresh Prairie View A&M hoodie.
Yeah, I was looking for something to match the hat. So, and I forgot I had this when I went home for the holidays. But everybody in my town knows my father well. Like everybody. It's not just he's known just to certain people, and he was my dean in college. So, and I was doing all the wrong things, and of course every teacher was telling my father, "Hey, your son's not coming to class." You know, I was running around with the boys and stuff, breaking into cars, doing stupid stuff. You know, so that was my whole thing. But it's still. My father was always getting awards for this, and this, and this, and this, and this. He's always getting all these different awards. So, he's always stressed me about history. You know, so I feel like I'm just I'm a different generation of him through the music field. When he was he's a biologist, and he was the dean of arts and sciences. So I was studying computers, so I had to go through him. And I feel like I'm going in the same path, just in the entertainment industry instead of the education. It's still education, but. He's a real humble dude, my pops. Very humble. You know, all he likes to do is play cards with his people in the neighborhood. I was saying, Travis Scott's. I did an interview recently with Elliot Wilson, where I said Travis Scott's dad taught me bass and drums. I used to play with his father Jack and his uncle Travis, which was where he took the name Travis from.
Wow, I did not know that.
And
that's fun.
And his grandfather, Wayman Webster, who just passed away a couple of years ago, it plays cards with my dad. So.
Yo, you know how bugged that is when you think about it? Because Travis is I believe Travis is currently the biggest musical influence in hip hop.
And he wasn't born back in that.
Right. But to think that at that table, there was so much future of music right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and his dad, they taught me everything. They taught me everything with how to drum and play bass and play pool. Because they were one of the only people in the neighborhood with a pool table, and they were the first ones that we ever saw with a VCR in our neighborhood. I was like, Daddy, we can't get a VCR. He goes, you don't need one because you won't study. Because they used to have all the Soul Train episodes. So I used to go over there and be like, Miss Webster, can we watch Soul Train? She's like, go on, baby, put it on. So that was always, we're going to the Webster's house. Even when I go home for Christmas, as soon as we eat dinner, I go right to the Webster's house.
Wow.
I miss Travis Scott literally by minutes because I went over there a little late, and then they're always over at the house.
You and Travis have a relationship? You guys talk music?
We're cool. We don't really talk about music because it's more just hang out, eat, and just talk a lot of mess, So, and again, he was so young, during the era that I came up with his dad. His dad was the first one with the motorcycles in our neighborhood. I got, because of him, I learned how to ride.
That's so dope.
I was all my mini bikes and all that stuff was because of his father.
Now, when you're living in a moment and you're making history, it is hard, to know what kind of your impact is, right? But Royce, you and I talked a lot about a lot of the young rappers and just hip hop happening right now, and you take issue with the whole generational conflict. Like you don't like it. You don't like the fact that you have this older generation shitting on a younger generation, et cetera, et cetera. Even though you're not saying that there's not some whack shit out, but there's always been whack shit out.
Yeah, I think it's just a better way to do it. Like you got to realize that when you do that, you kind of like speaking for all of us when you do that, and you making it to where the younger generation won't listen to us. And it's like the only way. The hip-hop business, the record business itself is not set up to give you information. You come in, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about the record deal itself. You don't know nothing about the attorney you publishing. You don't know nothing about anything. So it's like you're going to come in, you're going to make mistakes, especially if you're some young little kid. So a lot of the OGs that's in the business that got a little bit of longevity and got somewhat of a legacy to stand on, we go through these things so we can learn, so we can teach it to the youth. Like, it's not free. Like, everything that we've accumulated, all of this success is not free. It's not information for us to hoard. It's not meant for us to hoard. It's for us to share it. So how can we share it if nobody is willing to listen, if everybody's trying to compete with us? It's not us against them. You know what I mean? It's just not.
Well, and also you end up taking almost money out of your own pocket because you draw a line in the sand that says, like, the old and the new aren't together. You're pushing away a new fan base who's gonna come around to appreciating your shit at some point. Like, I just think there's more of a connection potentially between audiences than people realize. And when you decide to put yourself on the other side of it and shit on all of it,
yeah,
you're separating yourself from the culture.
Exactly, and it goes both ways. And I feel the same way about the younger generation.
Yep, because you're going to end up, you're going to grow up too.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what everybody got against growing up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everybody, it shouldn't be slander to say, oh, you're old. What you mean I'm old? I'm happy to be old.
I made it.
I wasn't supposed to be here, bro. I'm an alcoholic. I'm supposed to be dead. I'm not only am I not supposed to be in the record industry, I'm not supposed to be alive.
And still doing what I want to do.
Yeah,
still,
you think I care?
Focusing on my career.
A lot of these dudes is like, oh, look at them. He just look old. He just low. And they look terrible. It's like, it should be a rule. You shouldn't be able to slander me if I look better than you. You shouldn't be 20 years old looking 50, looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's nobody around you to tell you you looking crazy.
I'm 52. And
Yeah,
I
it's
look better
like-
than some 18-year-olds.
It's
Too many
crazy.
Zans.
It's just like anything that you get involved in, you want to at least know where you came from. You don't have to be this student of the sport historian, but you at least want to know where you came from. Otherwise, you're going to have no idea where you're going.
You know what was so interesting? I'm sorry, bro.
I was just going to say some of that's also just culturally American, right? There are things that we do in hip hop that are really just reflections of the society that we're in, because America even doesn't, you think about the things that we appreciate, right? It's always about new. It's always about something new. The new this, the new that, the new actor, the new this. It's always
But
about
we're worse
something
in
new.
hip hop because in rock and roll they haven't done that. Right. You know, like the hip hop acts, legacy acts, should be treated up. When Consequence was up here and we were talking about the Tribe merch, and he was saying how he got some flack on it, and I'm like, what? Tribe should sell merch forever the way these other rock bands sell merch. Gangstar,
We're doing very well.
That should go on forever. People should wear that Gangstar logo forever. Yeah. And I think for so long we've set it up where it's like old is uncool. And to your point, Royce, and what I was trying to say is, like, when the OGs help create that separation, we're alienating each other. Like, there's just really no need for it. And so a lot of times it was really interesting. So that Lil Xan conversation happened. He came up here, right? And there's the order of things that I watched happen with that. He came up here. We did a good interview with him, right? Ebro,
Nice guy, man.
Nice guy. Ebro was pretty tough on him. He handled it really well. He understood what he was walking into. He dealt with it. We walked out. On the way out, he was like, yo, me and my pops, man, we've been watching your interviews for a long time. He's like, I grew up listening to Big L. I was like, oh, you should go up to 139th and Lennox and check it out up there. And he was like talking to his manager about it. His manager, Stat Quo. Okay, the rapper Stat Quo.
Lil Xan's manager?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
So Stat Quo is Lil Xan's manager, and Lil Xan don't know you're not supposed to say that?
Well, he knows. Me and Stat Quo have talked about that.
It's like, because how I took it was, oh, he don't know. He don't know that you can't say that.
So, yeah. So there's a couple things. My bad, Royce. Don't hold the ball. So a few things. One is, I think that I'm not trying to defend him. You have to be very mindful with how you discuss Tupac, and that's a lesson you have to learn, and Big, of course. But he was having a conversation, I think, that ended up being more about how he appreciates, he's more into Big L and Biggie than he is Tupac. Interviews get cut down. They come out quickly. It sounds horrible. It was a terrible quote. But it ended up leading to this conversation because I posted the picture with Xan, and when I saw the comments, this is even before the Tupac thing. He has not said the Tupac thing yet, okay? This is just because of his name, the tattoos, etc. I hadn't even really listened to his music. I just like that he told me he fucked with Big L, right? That's all. I'm like, yo, you respect the old shit. That's great. So we post the picture. People start going ham. And I basically post a reply. That was intentionally trolly. That was basically like, I'm tired of older heads saying fuck all the young shit.
Yeah.
Like, listen to it on a case-by-case basis. Some of it's trash. Some of it's really, really good. And one of the things I enjoy about what you do, Royce, is you reference old shit and new shit. Like, you reference XXX on the record, and you're aware of it and you participate still. So many people, Primo, you too, you're 52. You're still deeply into all of it, looking for new artists. So many cats talk shit. They have it, as I said on Twitter, They haven't bought a fucking album since the Black album.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Well,
do
there also is this component. Like, if you were to ask PRhyme when you and Guru got together as Gangstar, how many people in the generation before you second guessed you or didn't accept you?
Of
Or
course.
if you were to ask Royce, right?
It happened.
When you came in the game, spitting your bars, and how many people from the generation before you,
It's part of it.
right?
It keeps going on. It's like you got to pay it forward, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, in some ways, it is bullshit. In other ways, there is a rites of passage in cultures and in all things. You join a football team, you the rookie. There's a rites of passage, right? There's rites of passage in everything.
Well, yeah, you want people to want to fight for it, but you don't want to make them fight for it to the point that they leave.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
don't,
but
just
yes,
don't do the gatekeeper thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't be the gatekeeper, man. Like, the guys who are like really super established and really could flex that muscle, they don't do it.
No, they don't. They don't.
Never acts like a gatekeeper.
Right, you can't get in.
Yeah, you can't. You're in our house. You're only allowed
But
to talk
there is,
about
but
this.
I do believe that if it's not good, I think hip hop should be, or whoever. If this one likes it, you like it, and you don't like it. I'm from a time where it was okay to say, nah, you biting this. This is a fake. This is a knockoff. You're biting this guy. This is the real thing. This is the fake thing. Today, you're a hater if you point that out, or if you go, yo, you just doing Travis Scott, B. Like that was Travis Scott's thing. Now you doing it. Right?
Because it is way more acceptable to just take on someone's whole style.
Right? Or the Lil thing. I think there's too many Lils. Somebody should go, all right, new name time. Can we not be this?
But in that defense, it's always been a whole bunch of littles.
Always.
In the hoods.
Always.
Always in the projects.
It's a name for people.
Yeah, it's like some of those names these kids just had from their moms, aunties.
But that's true. But yes, and thought was also always put into what you were going to do when you went out to create. Right,
Yeah.
and create music, because that's part of the things I give people a hard time on. If I look at your brand and your brand looks like it don't care about the music, you just care about getting money and doing whatever, I'm not gonna be as into it. I'm not gonna give you the same listen that I'm gonna give a guy who's really trying to create art and music and something that's meaningful to music and push culture forward. That's how I am.
Yeah, I mean, but if you come out and you wear that, and you don't look to be accepted as some deep about the artist, that's cool too. Like, if you actually wear what you are, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. It's the guys that want it all. You don't write, but you want to be like the top lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not a rapper, you're a drug dealer. But then when it comes time to being a rapper, you want to be accepted as nice.
You want to be in the conversation.
You know
of the
what I mean?
nicest.
Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, pick one. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, and that happened even in our era too. You know, I mean, even MOP said it, gangsters want to be rappers want to be gangsters. You know, it turned into that, and then you started seeing athletes starting to act more like they're gangsters. It's like, yo, stay playing your sport, man.
You made it. Why you want to be a gangster? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just it's a conversation I both enjoy and am just like so perpetually annoyed by it. Now, Royce, a lot of people tweeted me. I remember when your mixtape came out and you mentioned my name. A lot of people tweeted me thinking like they don't know our relationship or anything. They're like, "Oh, Royce got at you. I want to find me a girl who loves me the way Peter Rosenberg loves Kendrick Lamar." And
that's relationship goals.
I think that's everybody's relationship.
now, how much of a shot is that just because it's funny because you know that I've been such a proponent of Kendrick Lamar, or do you think there's anything actually not good about the amount that I've championed Kendrick?
No, I mean, I think it's cool. You got your opinion. I think it's good that you're vocal about it. I'm glad somebody seems to really love something. You know what I mean? But I just noticed over the years that you really, really, really love Kendrick Lamar a lot. So one day I think I may have just looked at something where you said that, and it sparked that line at that time. That's just the kind of lyricist that I am. Like, if something gives me an idea real quick.
I can sense it when something.
Yeah, I just lay it right down. Right while I'm feeling it, I lay it right down, especially if we laugh on the spot right there. Because in my mind, okay, that's exactly how it's gonna resonate with.
So you said that probably out loud. You're like, man, I wish I could find me a girl that loved me that way. Rutherford loves Kendrick Lamar.
I probably did.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this first time in an interview, and I don't know if people go deep enough to pay attention to this, but what I think is lost in the, not by you, but I think what's lost by the general public who gives me a hard time, and like even like Lupe's killed me for my love of Kendrick and things like, you know.
He came with Nut Hugger.
Yeah, he's the original person who called me.
I gave him a hard time for tweeting Primo spelling wrong.
Crush me. Well, hold on, we get to you crushing me in a sec. I was I was upset, Primo. He had me in the house about feelings.
Yeah.
In the house, you came to work the next day.
I was like, guys,
Yo,
Primo
crushed me, man. Damn, man. I thought we was cool.
He is a true head of underground hip hop and really knows it. So even when he came to New York and started doing the underground show, I was like, wow, it's dope that, I know it was late in the night, but it was something we tuned into because we know he's gonna pick some raw gems that people ain't up on yet. So I was like, well, if anybody's gonna always know correct spelling, he's gonna know.
No, let me explain what happens. What happens is he's hanging around Laura Style. She's Spanish, so she says primo. She means like primo.
Exactly, but I know Spanish, so and I seen Laura at another.
No, he just got confused. He thought he was writing in Spanish.
No, it's I actually if I had thought about it, I could have pictured the shirts. They say primo, but for some reason,
and I had given them some merch. So
yeah, I had the merch. No, I know. It's just like
Yo, I was trying to just cover for you right now.
I know. Listen, I was sad. I was like, damn,
I was
Primo's.
like, damn, I even posted you wearing.
Yo, he was tight too. I could tell. I was like, damn, don't fuck up Primo's name. Note to self. Listen, if Primo checked me a few times. Primo said something. I go, all right. Note to self. Won't happen again.
I grab my phone. The text is already in already. I haven't had the phone on like 2 days, and I'll turn on. This top one is Rosenberg.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Pardon me on that.
But
you should know better. You should know.
But no, but I think this is important to say is that I haven't really said this before, but this is the truth. Like, I love Kendrick, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm 38, man. Kendrick's my dude. I consider him sort of a peer, someone I've watched come up. We've done things together. He's given me records for a mixtape. Like we're cool. I'm not the way I am about Kendrick, the way I am about Gangstar. There is more principle to it than people understand. Championing Kendrick Lamar represented something else. Like I've always told people, the first 6 years I did Real 8 before Kendrick, or 5 years, I was waiting for someone like him. Like who is someone who can be incredible and pop off and be good?
You say he was the greatest rapper of all time.
The best. I said he was the best rapper of all time.
What's the difference?
Greatest to me entails more. There's more intangibles, right? Like I think Hov's the greatest.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you like Kendrick the way I like Jay-Z.
And I was about to say to you, yo, you really fucking like Jay-Z, bro. Because on this album,
I do.
To be so accomplished, yo, you're straight fanning on this album. How much you talk?
Yeah.
So talk about that. What is it besides the obvious? What is it you love about Hov so much?
I just love Hov, man. I mean, he's probably the best. You know what, man? Like I started out rapping really, really like complex. Really, I used a lot of big words, and he was the one. He was the master of the dumb down. Like I followed him from when he was doing a lot of flipping, and then when he just decided to put everything right in front of you, all of his lines right in front of your face, and he used the least amount of words in every line, and he was able to get to his punchlines really easy and made it just look and feel real easy. You know what I mean? Like he's the first one to do that, and then it was just like I just always thought he was cool. You know, just growing up, I always thought he was cool. And I just thought he went 10 straight summers doing this, and he just made it look so easy. So I just got him. I got him up on the pedestal. So when I look at the way you like Kendrick, and I'm thinking to myself like, damn, Kendrick not even as good as he's gonna be.
Yeah, we don't even know yet.
At least Hov is already in a comfortable spot.
Hov's there. Nah, for me,
Kendrick is still a baby. He's gonna get way greater than he is now.
30.
Kendrick's 30.
Kendrick is gonna get so much better than he is now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's gonna look back and be like, damn, I was doing too much on some of these records.
I don't even know if it's time to start putting the cap on him. Like, I don't know if it's time to start saying Kendrick is the greatest of this. It's like you might as well just wait.
No, and by the way, I think J. Cole's just getting to his best. I thought Cole's last album was his best piece of work.
Kendrick, Cole, Sean, like that whole generation. I think we need to just wait. We need to wait and see how good they're gonna get, so we can finally just say, all right.
And on the weight, right? We talk about it a lot. How now, you know, you don't have the development of artists and the whole like get signed, work in the studio for a year, hone your craft, create. Now it's made song, upload, blows up. Boom, I'm here. I just decided to put this up because me and my friends was joking, and now I just wanted to get some girls, but now I'm on. Yeah. Like, and so we're watching these kids who aren't good yet. Some are great, right? But we're watching them get better or hone their craft or find out who they are or find out their sound in front of us. There's no barrier to entry like there used to be.
And that's what you see Kendrick and Cole do. They actually are so into their art, which is the most important part, in their integrity, that they are really locking into what you know. It's almost like they already know what to do next. You know, there's a lot of artists that don't know what to do next.
Well, and Primo, what's the name of your guys' first wild pitch single again?
Words I Manifest.
That was the first one? There wasn't one?
Well, when I joined the group, the first one before that was The Lesson.
The Lesson,
Yeah,
right.
in '86, but I wasn't in the group yet.
Okay, that's the one that you see and you have no idea what it is. Like, my point being, by the time Gangstar got to the place where people really checked for him, they were pretty far along in the process already. We're catching these cats so early, Ebro, just like you said. How do you know? There are names that people have checked out on, right? They heard the name, and I'm not vouching for their personal character, right? But like XXX, Kodak, there are these kids who are super duper talented, and when you check out
Savage in there too.
and people are checking out on them right away, just writing it all off as silly. And I'm like, are you really a hip hop fan, or were you just a fan of the hip hop you liked?
Right.
Because I love the people who stay
Kodak
in it.
just
forever.
got my attention. I've seen him, but I just heard a couple of records. I was like, okay, boom, this is starting to sound like something.
Oh no,
I haven't listened to
I always
XX's new album.
I always like Kodak's flow. I always like this flow.
And it took you a while for like a little Uzi Vert.
Uzi Vert, I knew he could rap, and he had the hit song. The album, though, he delivered a great album. And then I was like, okay.
But
this is something.
remember how generationally different this is. These are like from where we grew up. This is like grandchildren level generation. Mac Miller's already been in that Mac Miller Primo record was like 7 years ago. Mac Miller's fully developed in the adult range of artists. These are the children of that. This is the children of the Tyler generation.
These are my great grandkids.
This is so.
Yeah.
It takes some time. You got to put in some work to listen to it. Everyone expects it to affect them the way the first time they heard "Code of the Streets," but it's just changed.
Well, that's the one thing that I'm so blessed that when this whole internet world came, and that's really where the money is generated towards your growth and success now. I'm glad my fan base was already built. You know, a lot of these artists that are coming out now have to build one to get everybody to start supporting them and buying their music, and their singles going platinum and triple platinum now, and then their albums aren't.
Right, but the
their
singles are. But guess what's going to happen too? And another thing about the hate. Guess what's going to happen when the Lil Xan fans who are currently 16
or 24,
and he's their foray into hip hop, and then they get to be 25 and go, who the fuck is PRhyme? Well, guess what? Who's run the jewels? Who is Gangstar? Let me start streaming this shit. It's bringing more people in.
Well, you know,
is a good thing.
It's not talked about a lot, but like 60% of streaming revenue is catalog.
Absolutely.
You mean classic, older material?
Catalog.
Absolutely.
And catalog is defined. I mean, it's a loose definition. I think it's like anything a year old is considered catalog, but it's still catalog. That's where a majority of the streaming companies make a lot of their money.
Yeah.
That's why it's a good thing to go in and make albums, make good albums.
Absolutely.
It's still you still got to do it. A lot of people feel like I don't need to make albums. A lot of people feel like I don't need to go in and make a classic album. Everything is about streaming. What he just said, 60% of it is catalog.
Recipes to Prince.
You're not gonna have a catalog album if you don't go in and make it at least somewhere close to a classic.
Yeah. That's what I loved about before Prince died, when he came up to present the award. I don't know if it wasn't a Grammy. I don't know if it was the Grammys, but you know, when he came on stage, he said albums. He goes, "Remember those?" And it's like, because it was about getting that album. The single thing was cool, but it was about that album.
Well, I think for the audience to understand, it's the difference between somebody who just scrolls past your page or scrolls on their timeline, but never goes on your page and sees what you're about. Like when somebody is willing to go layers deep into understanding you and buy a ticket and buy a tea and study you, they're with you now.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about business, you're talking about a level of engagement, right? Versus somebody who just, I heard that one song. What's his name? I like the song, but I don't know your name, right? It's different than, oh no, this album, this song, when I was driving, when I was hanging out with my people, we listened to the bam bam, you know what I mean? And I know people are trying to replace that energy with playlists, but there's something about a great complete album. And we still see it in hip hop today, Jay. Like you brought up J. Cole. His fans love his albums. Kendrick Lamar fans, they love their albums.
They're going in to do albums. They're going in
Chance,
to do
albums.
I remember when Khaled was shooting an Instagram shot of our album, like, yo, go get that PRhyme album. And one guy commented and said, who is that? Is that Pusha T and Diddy? You know, because of the way our faces
the covers?
are. Yeah. and it makes you, and yeah, you know, but you got, and then that, of course, that makes you click and see who they are. 24 followers, you know, and
Right.
and the crazy thing is usually the ones, even the haters, they're usually private, and it's like, why?
Yo, isn't that
private?
interesting?
Yeah,
What a
why
high
you private?
percentage it is,
Or
though.
They don't even have a face in their AVI.
Yeah, they're
That's
just
why they're
they
just
do it on the
cowards.
trolls. The trolls.
Yeah,
But
I
it
don't
is
even block
interesting.
them. I don't even block them. Let them. I just let them go. I used to be like, what? Oh yeah, and do my educated holler back and then throw a dart, you know. But let them go, you know. Unless it's something that's really dangerous, I'm not blocking anybody. It's cute.
Look, PRhyme 2, not PRhyme.
Yeah.
No, say it to them and play yourself.
And don't spell Primo with an I.
No,
Speaking
never
of
spell
players, though.
never spell Primo with an I. Also,
Did you see why? Did you see me do a tweet after that saying for all of y'all that spell my name, and I said the Guru spelled it this way. That's the reason why I spelled it that way.
Yeah.
The Guru used to write me notes or hey Primo.
hold on. By the way, Primo left a part out of it though about what made the story so sad. I tweeted his name wrong in the first place because I was just drunk at a fight at the Garden, and the DJ kept playing Premier. So I'm just kind of twisted. I'm like, yo, this DJ keeps playing Primo. Next thing I see tomorrow is Primo being like, hey, Rosenberg, you spelled my name wrong. And I was like, oh, fuck me.
I said, and you supposed to be down with him.
And you supposed to be.
You
We supposed to be brothers.
Yeah, that's
You
what crushed
showing
him.
love
Is
and then
supposed
you
to be
get
down with hip hop.
Dang.
What? I know. I was like,
If
oh.
he wasn't an underground dude that knows the underground stuff,
Yeah, but he still
I
lives in a
wouldn't-
space.
it wouldn't have bothered me at all.
I know.
No, but he lives in a constant space where he's second guessed because he's white. So if Primo says
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
you don't
supposed to
understand.
be down with hip hop, he's like, oh God.
Yeah, I
oh,
never know
God.
if
And you replied, and I said, that's still no excuse.
Yeah, I know.
My
I
finger
was
was
so
on those-
sad.
Yo,
I'm
were
a
you at least
Blackberry
smiling
too?
when you did it?
No,
He wasn't smiling. He was dead serious.
I was dead serious.
And also, you never know what you're getting from Primo over text because he's a green texter. So you can't feel. It's a different kind of energy. He's slow on the reply.
Blame that on Guru. God bless him. Guru used to always be like, yo, I love when you step to people, you know, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll step to them. If it bothers you about something and you want me to step to that person, I'll do it.
Well, listen, I'm the first person who
loves stepping
complains about people who love me and who I love doing me wrong in
They
any
call you
way.
Paul?
Yeah, like I complain about this all the time.
Yeah, that was a
so.
big mixer for a long time.
It was.
People think
Yeah.
you Paul's little brother.
What?
Yeah.
No. They
Still
think
is.
I'm
There was a
Paul.
lot
They
of
think he's
mix-ups.
Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, they think you Paul.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm Paul. I
They call
am
him
him.
Paul
Yo,
Rosenberg.
Rosenberg.
Oh, like it
years.
only could be one
Yo,
Rosenberg.
message. Yo, Rosenberg. I'm trying to get Eminem for blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
Shit.
do you understand how
You
little?
should book one of those.
I know. Drake, I got you.
One of those and see what
I'll
happens.
call you. I'm like, yo, I can get you Royce to 5'9". How much extra money you got?
Yeah, a
By
lot
the
of
way,
people
catch
always get you and Paul mixed up.
catch Royce doing a bunch of these Eminem festival dates this summer, and then you guys are gonna go out on the road at some point soon too, right?
Later on in the summer, we're working on a tour.
When can we get the Run the Jewels PRhyme tour together?
Ooh,
Like
that would be crazy.
that's a no
Mike
brainer.
and LP, man.
Why don't you
What's
book
up?
it, Rosenberg?
I'll try. I would love to do that for Peter Palooza this
Come on,
year.
book it, Paul. I mean, Peter.
I'm gonna be like, call Paul
All right,
Rosenberg.
Preem.
Primo. Hey,
we would
PRhyme
love to.
2,
We would
pick
love
up the album, man. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Love y'all too, man. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
For sure.
Peace.